The Galaxy A34 and Galaxy A54 are Samsung's new mid-range phones for this year. Both appear to be worthy successors to last year's models, as well as significant upgrades. But we're here to tell you about the Galaxy A34, and the less expensive model, which will cost €399 in Europe. The Galaxy A34 is Samsung's latest entry-level mid-range phone to enter this crowded market. Its predecessor, the Galaxy A33, was already a fantastic device that proved to be among the best among its competitors in 2022. This year, Samsung has focused on all the right areas, making the Galaxy A34 a strong contender for the best budget phone in 2023. In fact, it has done much more. After spending some time with the phone, I have the impression that it is very well-rounded in terms of features, specs, and overall user experience for the price. Given that Samsung chose to make the Galaxy A34 look as close to its flagship phones as possible, it should go without saying how beautiful and clean it looks for a mid-range handset. It has a back panel that, despite being made of plastic and slightly bending when pressed in the middle, is undeniably attractive with its matte-like appearance. The A34's frame is also made of plastic, but it blends in so well in terms of color and shape that it does not appear cheap. To make the phone more comfortable to hold while maintaining a firm grip, Samsung has made all sides square with a small curve on the edges. It also helps that the A34 is small in size. Speaking of grip, I must admit that, despite its excellent design, I had some difficulty handling the Galaxy A34 due to its sheer size. But, since I'm not used to large phones, I suppose it really depends on how big your hands are. And it was a good sign that, despite the phone's massive size, I could comfortably reach and press the power button and volume rocker. In terms of durability, Samsung has retained the previous model's IP67 rating as well as the Corning Gorilla Glass 5 screen. The Galaxy A34 has an absolutely stunning display, especially for the price. It is arguably the most significant improvement over the previous generation, finally reaching a resolution of 2400 by 1080 pixels while also increasing the maximum refresh rate to 120 Hz. But hold on, there's more. Samsung has included its Vision Booster technology, which allows the A34 to reach 1000 nits of peak brightness, a feat normally reserved for much more expensive phones and virtually unrivaled in the mid-range segment. According to Samsung, Vision Booster also aids in maintaining a higher level of color accuracy across the brightness curve. In other words, the colors remain consistent across all brightness levels. Unfortunately, our tests yielded less than ideal results. Despite this, I had the phone set to natural colors during my time with it, and the colors seemed fine to me. It's worth noting, however, that the A34's display, unlike some of its competitors, does not support HDR10+. Despite its flaws, I enjoyed staring at the A34's screen, especially with its nearly identical bezels. There is almost no difference between the camera systems on the Galaxy A34 and the Galaxy A33 from last year. That means you get a 48-megapixel main camera with an aperture of f1.8, an 8-megapixel f2.2 ultra-wide camera, and a 5-megapixel f2.4 macro camera. The 13-megapixel selfie camera with an aperture of f2.2 is retained from last year's model. The only difference here is the absence of a depth camera, which didn't do much and had dubious utility in any case, so it won't be missed. Samsung did a good job of discarding it and saving some manufacturing costs. For a phone of this caliber, the main camera produces some decent images. They're sharp enough, and the dynamic range appears to be adequate. Of course, there are oversaturated colors and a hint of extra contrast. Then again, that's ideal, because most people who buy the Galaxy A34 5G want the phone to quickly capture a pleasing photo that's ready to be shown. When it comes to sharpness, the ultra-wide shooter falls short, and it tends to make the colors even more saturated than the main camera. That said, it gets the job done and is useful for quick wide-angle snapshots for social media. The camera app on the Galaxy A34 also includes a 2x zoom option, which appears to crop on the main camera's 48-megapixel sensor and produces surprisingly good results. Needless to say, if you want to take photos in low light, this camera will fall short. There is so much noise and reduced sharpness that the photos are unusable. The 5-megapixel macro camera on the Galaxy A34 has enough image quality for social media purposes, as long as you are not trying to shoot any serious macro photography. Selfies taken with the Galaxy A34 are fine, as is the portrait mode, which simulates a blurred background. The colors in photos taken with the 13-megapixel front-facing camera left an especially favorable impression on me. Video recording is not the Galaxy A34's strong suit. The 1080p 30 frames per second mode, as shown in the example above, provides the highest quality. You can switch between the ultra-wide and main cameras, but the transition is abrupt and jarring. The transition from the main camera to the 2x zoom, on the other hand, is much more seamless. This is also the only mode with image stabilization. As you can probably tell from the sample above, once you start shooting in 1080p 60 frames per second, the image stabilization vanishes to the point where the final product is barely usable. This mode is still available if you are not moving or the phone is placed on a stable surface. Videos shot in 4K 30 frames per second outperform the competition, made even better by the increased resolution. Unfortunately, image stabilization is as bad, if not worse, than in 1080p 60 frames per second mode. Usable, as long as the phone is not moving or shaking. When it came to the Galaxy A34's performance, it was mostly smooth sailing. There were no problems navigating the UI or browsing the web. The phone also appears to perform well in mobile gaming. I started off with a bit of Vampire Survivors and it had zero issues there. Then I moved on to more difficult games like Apex Legends and Riot's Wild Rift. Admittedly, the MediaTek Dimensity 1080 chipset the A34 comes with had a bit of trouble with the more intensive games, which resulted in some frame drops with Apex Legends and an overall lower refresh rate with Wild Rift. Both games were running smoothly enough for me to have a good time. Furthermore, you can always change the graphics to achieve the desired result. It also helps that the entry-level Galaxy A34 5G comes with 6GB of RAM, which you can upgrade to 8GB for a little more money. Benchmarks show that the Galaxy A34 is a significant improvement over its predecessor, at least in terms of processing power. However, 3D Mark Extreme shows comparable graphical performance between the two, which is unexpected. The Dimensity 1080 should be doing much better in this segment too, but the benchmark is not showing it. The figures should be much closer to those of the Nothing Phone 1 and OnePlus Nord 2T. The storage capacity of the Galaxy A34 5G is available in two sizes, 128GB and 256GB. The good news is that you can use the microSD card slot to increase that storage even more. The Galaxy A34 5G is one of the most budget-friendly Samsung phones to come with the latest major Android software update and Samsung skin over it, One UI 5.1. Samsung's One UI 5.1 software update comes with many aesthetic improvements like lock screen customization and a refreshed settings app. Furthermore, some practical enhancements provide easier control over Wi-Fi speakers, improve the camera's AI-based photo capabilities, add new modes and routines, and more. Many potential buyers will be pleased to learn that Samsung is providing the same dedicated software support that it does for its flagship series. In other words, 4 years of Android OS upgrades and 5 years of security patches are in store. This means that the Galaxy A34 5G will run Android 16. The Galaxy A34 5G includes a 5000 mAh battery, which is standard for most Samsung phones these days. With its power-efficient chipset, it goes without saying that his big boy can easily last 2 days on regular use. In fact, if you use your phone sparingly, it can go for even more. The bad news, however, is that it supports a maximum charging speed of 25 watt. At these speeds, it takes several hours to charge a battery from 0 to 100%. You won't have any problems if you charge your phone at night, but you won't be able to get those big and quick top-ups like you can with phones like the OnePlus Nord CE2. Making matters even less appealing is the lack of a charger. You only get a USB-C to USB-C cable and that's it, so make sure you have a 25-watt charger on hand. But, at the end of the day, I had no problems with the battery because I just charged it while sleeping at night, even though I usually had a little more than 50% left. The Galaxy A34 5G is a significant upgrade over its predecessor, removing unnecessary components and improving in just the right areas to become a well-rounded phone for its price range. Its strongest characteristics are without a doubt the amazingly long battery life and the long software support, which is not standard for the mid-range market. In other words, if you're looking for a phone that won't break the bank but will last you 3 or 4 years, this is a great option. That said, there are other potential options out there, such as the OnePlus Nord 2T and the upcoming Pixel 7a, that cost slightly more but offer significantly more in all other aspects that make up a good phone. In the end, it boils down to your budget ceiling and how much longevity matters to you when deciding whether to buy or not the Galaxy A34.